So if we look at this Bazi chart, we're going to be looking at the 5 factors. Can you highlight the 5 factors for me, please? This one has 50% wood, 19% fire, 17% water, 9% metal, and 5% earth. So here we see the weakest elements are earth and metal. So when the earth is very weak, they could have what we call spleen qi deficiency, the digestive issues. When we get to the earth, it's all about digestion. And metal is low as well, so that there could be problems with the lung and the large intestine. Can you highlight that, please? Thank you. So just look at your chart and look at the 5 factors, and that's what we're going to be focusing on as we go through the next presentation. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I just want to also say thank you. I just want to, this is combining two of my greatest passions, which is food, healing, Chinese dietary therapy, and Bazi. So let's start with the first element, which is water, and the organs associated with the water element are the kidney, bladder, and the adrenal glands. The taste is salty. They like salt. Kidneys like salt. They need minerals. And the emotion is courage, and the opposite is fear. So when the kidneys are strong, we have courage, we have will. We have will and courage to go out and pursue our dreams and our goals and our aspirations. But when the kidneys they call kidney qi is deficient, or the water element is weak in our chart, or no water, we have a tendency to have more fear. Now, we have certainly been inundated with that the past couple of years with everything going on in the world. So many factors affect us on a daily basis, on a monthly, on a yearly basis, and certainly what's going on in the world. So this can also cause more fear in a person if a person's water element, their kidneys, bladder are weaker. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so in Chinese medicine, if you look at Western medicine, the kidneys are a filtering system. So they filter the blood and then pass it to the bladder to be excreted via urine. But when we look at from a Chinese medicine perspective, it's a much bigger picture. So the kidneys they have what's called our prenatal qi. This is our jing. This is the essence that we inherit from our parents and our grandparents. And we are taught how to deplete it, not how to honor it and save it. It's so vital, it's so important. And through our very high stress levels, we deplete the jing, and especially in the winter time, and then also especially as we get older, our jing starts to decline. So this is prenatal qi, where you will see that postnatal qi is associated with our spleen, stomach, and pancreas. So the kidneys, they govern birth, growth, reproduction, and development. So this has to do with the reproductive system. So when a woman might have a harder time conceiving, or she has a harder time having a baby, well, you can actually see that in the chart, but you also look at the kidneys and you look, okay, well, what is going on there? How do we build that? The kidney element, how do we build the water element up? And we'll add, perhaps maybe they have very low metal, very low water. So how do we increase that? As I mentioned, it generates willpower. So your kidneys are associated with your will. So you have a strong will, you have strong kidneys. You have a weaker will, say, I want to do it, but I just don't feel like it, or I just don't have that will. So that's more weaker kidney qi. And then in the bigger picture, as I said, it's associated with the bones, the hair, the ears, the knees, and the teeth. So how are your knees? Are your knees hurting? Are your bones hurting? Do you have your hair? Maybe your hair is thinning. So these are all indications of what's going on. So for example, ears. So ears, a person, actually children, I've noticed have problems with ear aches or tinnitus. Actually, tinnitus is usually associated with more older people, but especially earaches, can be very popular, very predominant in children. And one of the things you'll see as I go through the foods and the temperatures that affect is sugar definitely affects the kidneys and the ears, and cold foods, cold drinks. And then we get to our teeth. I could just do a whole presentation on this, because actually my profound respect goes to Weston A. Price, who was a dentist back in the 20s and 30s. And he studied people's teeth and their health. And he started to notice more tooth decay, crooked teeth, and more degenerative illness in his patients. He wanted to know, why was this occurring? So a colleague suggested to him that people were not chewing well enough. He looked at that theory, said no, he didn't think that was correct. He traveled all over the world for 10 years with his wife to totally traditional indigenous cultures, studying people's teeth and their health. He went up into the Loschenthal Valley in Switzerland. They bypassed the milk, went directly to the cream, and had no incidence of heart disease and cancer. He went to the Maasai Indians in Africa, the Aborigines, the Eskimos, the Scottish hybrids, all over the world. And he documented this evidence in an amazing book called Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. So what did he find? He found when people started to eat their modern industrialized foods of white sugar and white flour, that they started to have more tooth decay, crooked teeth, and more degenerative illness. Now, the list was a lot shorter back then than what it is now. But when they started to eat when they were eating their traditional indigenous foods, real foods, which we're going to get into and touch on this through this presentation, they had perfectly straight teeth, they had no cavities, they had a wide jaw structure, and guess what? They were happy. They were happy people. So it's a huge topic, and he talked all about nutrient-dense foods and how traditional people had 10 times the amount of vitamin A and D in their bodies than we have today, or in their diets that we have today, and 4 times the minerals and the trace minerals that we had today. Okay, another issue is the kidneys are associated with the lower back. So if you have lower back pain, that could be associated with the kidneys. Now, there's something, and then mind and long-term memory. So your memory, how's your mind, how's your memory? All right, next slide, please. Okay, so as I was mentioning, the water element, check your 5 factors on your chart. So little or no water, 10% or less. We might see, and little or no metal, because metal supports water. Metal is the mother of, metal is the mother of water. So we look at that. So then the kidney chi might be very, very weak. Or if you have excessive earth, because what does the earth do? The earth overrides the water element. And you might have some of the issues with the issues I just mentioned. Okay, next chart, please. Okay, remember, as we go through these slides, I can tell you lots of very important foods to eat, but it's not just what you eat, it's what you don't eat that matters too. Next slide, please. Okay, so first let's look at what to avoid. As I mentioned, the kidneys do not like cold foods, cold drinks. Yes, the ice cream is delicious, and you actually can make a very healthy ice cream. And you can actually do it with